This is Photosynthesis Part 1. It is Part 1 based on my first page of notes, not necessarily based on content, so some parts may be more dense in content, while other parts may be less dense in content, purely based on the amount of notes that I took during that section. So let's start. So Chapter 10 is photosynthesis, and the main thing to know with photosynthesis is the fact that it is quite literally, basically, the reverse of cellular respiration. In cellular respiration, we are taking C6H12O6 and O2, we are bringing that in, and we are breaking it down into usable energy that we can use. But with photosynthesis, we are taking carbon dioxide, H2O, and light energy, instead of ATP in this case, and building it into glucose that the plant will use for its energy source. So quite literally, you can flip the reactants and products, substituting the ATP in cellular respiration for light energy, to understand the basics of photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is performed by plants, algae, cyanobacteria, and euglena. As you can see, I drew a little euglena up here just because I wanted to see it. So photosynthesis is the conversion of light energy to chemical energy. The plants, the algae, through the chloroplast, they take in the energy from the sun in the forms of the photons and the waves, and they convert it into chemical energy through photosynthesis, through electrons. When we are talking about photosynthesis in this class, we represent it as glucose and the summary equation for glucose, but it can be used to make all types of organic molecules, just how cellular respiration can be used to break down all types of molecules, amino acids, anything, basically fatty acids. And plants are photoautotrophs, which means they make their own food through light. Photo means light, auto means by themselves, and troph means food. So through photosynthesis, the plants are able to make their own food in the form of the glucose or any other organic molecule. So the first Roman numeral here is light energy. So light energy is a type of radiant energy. Some other types include X-rays, gamma rays, really any rays, and the electromagnetic spectrum shows this entire range of these radiant energies. You've probably seen them in chemistry last year, if you remember those. That includes all the wavelengths, including the X-rays, the gamma rays, all of that stuff. And the visible light on this spectrum is between 380 and 750 nanometers, and that is the stuff that we can see, the reds to the purples, Roy G. Biv. And when we mix all of these colors together, it makes white light. And shining white light through a prism proves that white light is composed of all of the Roy G. Biv colors. So when I'm seeing a green piece of paper, what that means is the paper is absorbing all the other colors except green, maybe some blues, maybe some yellows, but absorbing all the other colors and reflecting that green and maybe a little blue and maybe a little yellow. So when the colors are reflected by the thing, we are seeing green. So a chloroplast in the cell is reflecting these green colors and absorbing everything else, and that is what we do not see. And so when something is black, for example, a black shoe, that means that it is absorbing all of the colors, because things that appear black are actually the absence of all light. Oh, and here is a diagram of a transverse wave, and the lambda symbol here represents the wavelength, and that is basically what determines the nanometers or the spectrum on the EMS. So, moving on to the main photosynthetic pigments. There are two main pigments, chlorophyll A, the main pigment, and chlorophyll B. So chlorophyll A is a light pine green color, and chlorophyll B is a bright green color. So chlorophyll A is the main pigment that is actually used during photosynthesis, as you'll see later on. But chlorophyll B is used, but it is more of just an accessory pigment. It just provides color, basically. and it's used for other things, it's not very important. And another part about light is that the light that, like I said before, the light we see is reflected, right? The green paper. So for us to be able to see and process a color, at least 50% must be reflected to us. And like I mentioned, black, I didn't know it was going to be here. And in photosynthesis, when plants are absorbing the light, that is the light that they are using for photosynthesis, not the light that they are reflecting. The light they're reflecting is what they see, the green, but the red and blue that they absorb is specifically used for photosynthesis. And back to chlorophyll A and B, they are composed of 9 connected carbon rings, essentially, those little hexagons, and there is a magnesium ion in the middle, and that will be significant later. And that magnesium ion, when the light hits it from the sun, these red and blue lights that the plant absorbs from the sun, it quantum leaps, the electron quantum leaps up out of the magnesium ion. And unlike typically in chemistry, when the electron comes back down and the light is released, this time the electron goes up and stays up and is picked up by something else. And we'll get to that when we get to the actual diagram of photosynthesis. Okay, jump scare from real me. I was going to include a little bit more in that video, but I realized it continued onto the next page. So in the next one, it will be a little longer, a little more in depth with some diagrams, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching the first one. Hopefully this is helpful. Leave any comments, any questions, or reach out to me in person. Thanks.